wings on the battlefield. Amid the clash of steel, the shatter of shields, and the cries of warriors drowned in blood as red as fire, shadows sometimes sweep across the leaden sky, swift, sharp, and cold as a killing stroke. They are not hunting birds, nor phantoms. They are the Valkyries, divine maidens of war, who decide who will live, who will die, and above all, who will earn the honor of entering Valhalla, Odin's great hall. To mortal eyes, they are glimpsed only in the flash of icy gaze cast upon the battlefield, silver spears in hand, armor gleaming with the reflection of war's flames. Yet few know that behind every chosen soul lies a sacred rite, where fate is rewritten in the single beat of a wing. Valkyries are not merely warriors. They are messengers of both death and glory, the unseen hands of the gods in their game of destiny. Their story stretches from the ancient songs of the North, through centuries of blood and conquest, all the way to RAGNAROK, where even golden wings cannot escape the final fire. And now, we step into their world, unveiling their mysterious origins, their sacred purpose, and the last battles they will ever fight. Origins and nature of the Valkyries. In the ancient verses of the Edda, the Valkyries are described as divine maidens, or warrior spirits, serving directly under Odin, the All-Father of Asgard. The Old Norse word Valkyrja means chooser of the slain. Yet unlike the cold, merciless harbingers of death found in other cultures, the Valkyries are both the ones who end a life and the ones who open the gates to eternal glory. According to legend, Valkyries are not born like ordinary warriors. They may be daughters of gods, towering Jotun maidens gifted in the art of war, or even mortal women whose valor and defiance on the battlefield earned them immortality. No matter their origin, once chosen, they don shining silver armor, wield spear or sword, and ride steeds that can gallop across both clouds and sea. They are not bound to Asgard alone. Wherever war rages, the Valkyries descend, sweeping over the chaos, their sharp eyes scanning the dying. In a heartbeat, they decide who shall be carried to Valhalla and who shall fade into the shadows of Helheim. For those chosen, the Valkyrie becomes more than a collector of souls. She is their shield against the perils of the dead, guiding them across the Joel River, past the fangs of beasts that guard the afterlife, toward Odin's great hall, where endless feasts and eternal battles await. Yet their role is not always bound by Odin's will. In certain ancient lays, Valkyries are depicted as beings with fierce individuality, capable of defying divine command. Some have fallen in love with mortal warriors and sought to save them from death, even at the cost of breaking their sacred duty. Others, moved by the injustice of war, have chosen to elevate unknown soldiers to Valhalla over the powerful and the proud. The Valkyries embody a beauty as dangerous as it is divine. Golden or platinum hair streams in the wind. Cold eyes blaze with light when they fix upon a fearless warrior. Their silver armor catches the glow of battle's flames. Their steeds churn white foam like crashing waves, and every arrival marks the razor's edge between life and death. But theirs is a burden heavy to bear. They must witness countless lives fall, hear the final cries and last words of thousands of warriors, and still keep their hearts frozen to fulfill their duty. Not all can endure it. And so, many tales of the Valkyries end as tragedies, where love, loyalty, and destiny collide, forcing choices that can never be undone. The role of the Valkyries in war and their bond with Valhalla. In Norse mythology, war is more than the clash of swords and shields. It is a contest of will, fate, and entire worldviews. Within this grand design, the Valkyries are the crucial link through which Odin sustains his power and prepares for the ultimate reckoning, Ragnarok. Odin, with his all-seeing wisdom and his haunting obsession with prophecy, knows that one day the final battle will come. When it does, he will need an army not only unmatched in strength, but bound by absolute loyalty. An army of Einherjar, fallen warriors handpicked by the Valkyries. Each Valkyrie, therefore, is not merely a messenger of death, but a recruiter for the mightiest force in the cosmos. When a warrior falls amidst the roar of battle and the stench of blood, the Valkyrie appears. Sometimes she blazes across the sky like a silver streak. Other times, she stands before the dying man, her presence both chilling and strangely tender. Some warriors even feel her cold yet gentle hand on their shoulder. Then, in the blink of an eye, they find themselves astride her steed, soaring through clouds toward Valhalla. Valhalla, the magnificent great hall of Odin, is the destination of these chosen souls. There, by day, they train, spar, and forge their arms. By night, they feast on the endless boar Saramnir and drink mead from the goat Aran. Yet all know this is but preparation for the final day, when Valhalla's gates will open and they will follow Odin into the fires of Ragnarok. But not all are chosen. The measure is not strength alone. It is the spirit of a warrior, courage, loyalty, and the will to stand unyielding before death itself. This is why mortal fighters both fear and yearn for the gaze of a Valkyrie on the battlefield, for once her eyes find you, your fate will never be the same. Beyond gathering souls, Valkyries also serve as messengers and judges. They deliver Odin's commands to mortal commanders, observe the tides of war, and report back to the All-Father. Sometimes, their mere presence on the front lines can rally an army, or send terror rippling through the enemy ranks. The bond between Odin and the Valkyries is both master and servant and strategic partnership. They serve him, yet Odin needs them more than anyone else. For only the Valkyries can cross the boundary between life and death, choose the worthy, and guide them safely to Valhalla. Without them, Odin's dream of an immortal army would be nothing more than an illusion. Famous Valkyries and their legendary tales. Among the ranks of the Valkyries, certain names have been sung for centuries, etched into the verses of the Edda and carried in the whispered tales of Norse warriors. Each bore her own spirit, her own fate, and her own mark upon both the battlefield and the hearts of men. Brynhildr is perhaps the most famous of them all. Once a fearless warrior in Odin's service, she defied his command during the choosing of the slain. Instead of granting victory to a greedy, ruthless king, she aided his opponent, a young, honorable warrior, to triumph. Odin's wrath was swift. He stripped her of immortality, cursed her to an enchanted sleep, and surrounded her with a ring of fire, to be breached only by a hero worthy enough to claim her. From that moment bloomed the tragic, immortal love story of Brynhildr and Sigurd, one of the greatest epics in Norse myth. Gunnar, whose name means war, knew no such romance. She lived and breathed the battlefield, the embodiment of raw fury and bloodshed. Gunnar appeared where the fighting was fiercest, where the ground was slick with the most blood. Warriors said that when they saw her golden hair flying through the crimson rain, they knew death was near, but also that Valhalla's gates might open for them if they fought to their last breath. Skuld was a rare and unsettling figure. Not only a Valkyrie, she was also one of the three Norns, the goddesses of fate. Gifted with the power to see the future, Skuld chose warriors not for their strength or courage alone, but for their place in the grand tapestry of destiny. To some, she was terrifying, for she could pass over a noble hero if his future did not serve the gods' ultimate design. There was also Hildr, the bringer of victory, who possessed the chilling power to resurrect fallen warriors so they could fight again, turning the battlefield into an endless loop of blood and steel. And Eir, a Valkyrie revered as a guardian of healing arts, who shielded and mended worthy fighters, ensuring they survived long enough for another Valkyrie to escort them to Valhalla. These stories reveal that the Valkyries were no uniform army, but a gathering of fierce individuals, each with her own strengths, passions, and inner conflicts. It is this diversity that forged their legend, not merely as Odin's handmaidens of death, but as heroines and tragic figures in the grand epic of an entire people. The role and fate of the Valkyries in Ragnarok. Ragnarok, the prophesied end of days, was not only the doom of the gods, but the final destiny of the Valkyries themselves. For centuries, they had ridden their steeds through burning clouds, gathering the souls of fallen warriors to swell Odin's mighty host of Einherjar. And then, on that fateful day, the gates of Valhalla burst open. The ranks of the Einherjar formed in unbreakable lines, and behind Odin rode the Valkyries, leading the immortal army onto the plain of Vigrid, the last battlefield of the cosmos. clad in silver armor blazing like lightning, weapons glinting under a blood-red sky. They mounted war horses whose breath steamed like fire. No longer the silent reapers of the slain, the Valkyries became the vanguard, hurling themselves into the enemy with such speed and ferocity that even the towering Jotun hesitated. Brynhildr led a spearhead charge straight into the ranks of Surt, the fire giant whose sword was destined to burn the world. Gunnar and her sisters plunged into packs of wolves and monstrous beasts, each strike of their blades a flash of silver amidst the sea of blood. Skuld, reading the threads of fate, guided warriors to the exact moment and place where they could block a killing blow or strike a fatal one. Yet even their valor could not turn the wheel of destiny. The legions of giants and beasts surged like a relentless tide. Surtur's flaming sword carved waves of fire that engulfed the Valkyries' lines. War horses fell, silver wings were shattered, and one by one, the Valkyries were cut down, leaving trails of bright blood upon scorched black earth. There was no song of victory for them in Ragnarok, but their sacrifice held the enemy long enough for part of the gods' host to fight to the very last heartbeat. And when Surtur's fire consumed the sky, the last shadow of a Valkyrie was seen riding through the inferno, head held high, spear raised in defiance of fate itself. In the new world born after Ragnarok, it is said that on nights when the moon hangs pale, across the fields where ancient battles raged, one can still glimpse the faint shimmer of silver wings passing by, a reminder that though the world changes, the glory of the warrior will forever be preserved. The legacy of the silver wings. When the ashes of Ragnarok faded into oblivion and a new world rose from the ruins, the Valkyries no longer walked the earth in their ancient forms. Yet their names, their deeds, and their stories lived on, in song, in legend, in the undying memory of humankind. The Valkyries were never merely Odin's warriors. They were the embodiment of choice, deciding who would live on in the glory of remembrance, who would pass through the gates of Valhalla, and whose name would never be lost to time. To a Norse warrior, to be seen by a Valkyrie was to transcend death itself, to become part of an immortal host. Their image, warrior maidens astride white steeds, armor flashing with the light of battle, silver wings tearing through the heavens, was etched not only into the verses of the Edda, but into the heart of art, literature, music, and even the heroic tales of the modern age. Though they fell in the sea of fire at Ragnarok, the Valkyries' legacy endures, a reminder that true glory is not found in victory, but in how a warrior meets their fate. And sometimes, in the dreams of young fighters, there still appears the vision of a Valkyrie smiling, hand outstretched, inviting them to ride toward the eternal journey of Valhalla.